Y necesitamos.
In a world where security is paramount, places are so heavily guarded that even the most daring criminals wouldn't stand a chance. From secretive government facilities to vaults containing unimaginable wealth, these locations are fortified by layers of advanced technology, high-tech surveillance, and armed personnel. Join us as we uncover the 15 most heavily guarded places on Earth where security is taken to unimaginable extremes. Number 15. Coca-Cola Vault. Let's start with the Coca-Cola Vault, one of the most admired and iconic establishments in the global marketplace. Coke uses not just sugar and chemicals, though it is mostly sweeteners and additives. The secret remains safe despite rival companies trying and failing to replicate the formula that gives Coca-Cola unique abilities, like stripping rust from metal or possibly the lining of your stomach. How? The Coca-Cola company keeps the recipe locked away in a hidden vault. Smart move, right? It's not so secret since it's located in Atlanta's World of Coca-Cola Museum. Even so, legend has it that only 2 people worldwide have ever seen the secret formula, which seems to do the trick. If they let visitors try to guess the code for the vault, it could be like the sword in the stone of the soda world. Like KFC and their memorable 11 secret herbs and spices, Coca-Cola owns the market for holding secrets. Of course, the recipe is important for them as it defines their sales and the range of meals they offer. Number 14. Area 51. Area 51 is undoubtedly one of the world's most mysterious and secure places, if not in history. Although hundreds of people today can say they have personally visited this mysterious place shrouded in a myth complex, only a few can provide hard evidence. Officially, it gives a realistic battle space for testing and training military forces. However, Area 51 remains the ultimate mystery box. Nobody truly knows what's inside, but everyone is curious. Calling it well-guarded feels like an understatement. The site has motion sensors, cameras, sound detectors, and other undisclosed security systems to detect and respond to intruders. But it's not just outsiders who face strict regulations. Employees at Area 51 must sign non-disclosure agreements, and anyone not directly involved in aircraft testing must remain indoors during tests. It makes you wonder what they're hiding, right? Adding to its renown, Area 51 is one of the few places in the US authorized to use deadly force against trespassers. Overly eager UFO enthusiasts trying to scale the fence may end up much closer to aliens than they ever imagined, or so the rumors go. If you thought Area 51 was a surprisingly guarded location, wait until you hear about the Lascaux Caves, home to prehistoric paintings over 17,000 years old. You'll be even more shocked. Could the Lascaux Caves hold secrets even older and more mysterious than we imagine? Number 13. The Lascaux Caves. Lascaux Cave is in the Dordogne region of France and holds prehistoric paintings that are over 17,000 years old. Also referred to as the most inaccessible art gallery in the world, the 50 paintings featured are regarded as the best discovered primitive art. Discovered in 1940 by local teenagers, the cave's entrance revealed a mesmerizing world of around 2,000 painted figures. These artworks, preserved for millennia in isolation, boast vivid colors made from mineral pigments depicting animals, people, and mysterious symbols. Located in the Vézère Valley, home to the highest concentration of Upper Paleolithic sites in Western Europe, the Cave of Lascaux stands out for the scale and quality of its artwork. One of its most famous sections, the Hall of the Bulls, features 4 massive black bulls, including the largest known cave art animal ever discovered, measuring an astonishing 17 feet long. What makes these paintings extraordinary is their dynamic depiction of animals in motion, horses charging, bulls in action, and felines moving gracefully, showcasing techniques unseen until the Renaissance. Curiously, the Hall of the Bulls lacks reindeer, a primary prey of the era, and contains no depictions of plants or landscapes. Some researchers theorize the paintings may serve as an ancient star map, with constellations hidden within the animal figures. Once open to the public, the cave was closed in 1963 after over 1,500 daily visitors began damaging the delicate artwork. Mold and fungus became ongoing threats to its preservation. Today, the cave is sealed, with access granted to only one person at a time for monitoring purposes, ensuring the protection of this unparalleled prehistoric masterpiece. Number 12. Pioneer White Mountains. Almost everyone uses an internet service provider, but have you ever thought about the kind of workplace that handles so much data? It has to be incredibly secure, right? You have no idea. Seriously, you don't. Grab a martini, shaken, not stirred, because we're diving into a real-life James Bond world. No, this isn't the set of an upcoming Bond movie. It's a data center built inside a Cold War-era nuclear bunker beneath Stockholm, Sweden. Designed for one of the country's largest ISPs, this facility takes security to the next level. You must first pass through doors a whopping 16 inches thick to show you how secure they are. Originally codenamed Pioneer White Mountains, this bunker was designed to withstand nuclear threats, and its transformation into a data center didn't skimp on security measures. Interestingly, the architects admitted they leaned into the sci-fi aesthetic, making the place look like a scene from a spy thriller. While that's cool, it's also a little unsettling. Still, it somehow balances out, making this one of the world's most unique and secure data centers. Number 11. Cheyenne Mountain Complex. When a facility is nuclear blast-proof, you know they mean business regarding security. And when that facility is home to the North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, caution isn't just a priority, it's essential. Though imagining Mr. Bean running security might sound hilarious, it's safe to say that it wouldn't end well for the rest of us. Cheyenne Mountain Complex is located in Colorado Springs, under 2,000 feet of granite, making it among the most secure compounds in North America. This is the perfect place for their headquarters, as the compound is self-contained and remote. It houses its power plant, water supply, hospital, and heating system, and it is a small city capable of keeping NORAD operational in even the worst scenarios. With such meticulous planning, it's reassuring to know this fortress exists, though it's highly unlikely that we will ever get close to it. Tours? Forget about it. As one of the most critical government organizations, the Cheyenne Mountain Complex is strictly off-limits. It remains one of those fascinating, hypothetical places we can only dream of visiting, unless of course Mr. Bean does somehow take it over. Number 10. The White House. The President of the United States of America is regarded as the world's most powerful figure and one of the best guarded. It may not come as a surprise, but because the United States is the leader of the free world, such security is expected. Sometimes the President is like a baby in a pram, with a babysitter's army who will care for them. The White House itself is essentially a modern-day fortress. It boasts 147 bulletproof windows, a team of over 1,300 Secret Service agents, a SWAT team stationed on the roof at all times, and the President's Emergency Operations Center buried 6 stories below ground. Honestly, it's a wonder the President gets anything done with all that constant security. Most of us would love to have our homes protected this way. Still, unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of accessing taxpayer funds, no matter how often we wish otherwise. Surprisingly, genuine trespassing incidents at the White House are rare, but then again, calling that surprising might be a stretch, considering the place is protected like a fortress. Suppose you thought the White House protection was intense. In that case, you'll be shocked as we delve into the most protected zone in Korea, which has incredible security surrounding the Korean Demilitarized Zone. Number 9. The Korean DMZ. The Korean Demilitarized Zone, DMZ, is a boundary area that separates the Korean peninsula along the 38 parallel north and runs from west to east. This demilitarized zone, stretching 155 miles long and 2.5 miles wide, was created in 1953 under the Korean Armistice Agreement to demarcate the two countries and hopefully reduce hostilities. However, some cases of conflict, including those between the military and non-military, happen here, which results in numberless losses on both sides. On the western half of the DMZ, the Joint Security Area, which has been regularly used to negotiate with North Korea, is situated. Once the primary connection between the two countries was established, the JSA's role in facilitating communication diminished as tensions eased slightly over time. Still, the DMZ's importance remains, underscored by landmarks like the renowned Bridge of No Return, where prisoner exchanges have occurred. The DMZ is also known for its landmines and explosives, with efforts to remove them beginning on October 1st, 2018. The process took 20 days and included clearing Arrowhead Hill, where remains from the Korean War were uncovered, finishing by November 30th, 2018. Due to its dangerous nature, human habitation within the DMZ has been nearly impossible over the past 50 years. except for limited incursions around areas like Penmun, Jam Village, and the Donghae-Bukbu line on Korea's east coast. This accidental isolation has created an unintentional park, now one of the world's best preserved temperate habitats. The DMZ is teeming with life, home to over 6,000 species of plants and animals, including over 100 endangered species. The fortified fences and landmines shelter rare animals such as the red-crowned crane, white-naped crane, the critically endangered Korean fox, Asiatic black bear, and possibly even the Siberian tiger and Amur leopard. In total, ecologists have documented around 2,900 plant species, 70 mammal types, and over 300 bird species, highlighting the DMZ as an unexpected haven for biodiversity. Number 8. The Vatican's Secret Archives. While the world demands transparency from political, religious, and public figures, some institutions maintain secrecy. One such place is the Vatican's Secret Archives, which has recently made some of its materials accessible, though not entirely. It's almost as if the Pope declared, "I will reveal our secrets," but only offered innocuous details like the favorite color of everyone involved. The Vatican Secret Archives stretches over an impressive 52 miles of shelves, housing documents dating back to the papacy of Pope Pius XI. These archives include material from the Papal States, the audience records of the prefecture, and other significant historical documents. While much of the archives are open to scholarly research, one section remains heavily guarded, literally and figuratively. This restricted area contains the private papers of cardinals from 1922 to the present day, as well as the personal records of every pope since 1939 and church-sanctioned annulment documents. These materials can uncover sensitive and controversial information, which is likely why they are under such stringent security. At this level, even if a scholar is crafty enough to avoid the Swiss guards, it will be very hard to penetrate this sensitive area of the Vatican. While people continue to press the Vatican to produce these documents, the institution concerned has closed the books on them for now. Consequently, the documents preserved in the Vatican's repository are still inaccessible and the mystery remains alive. Number 7. Fort Knox. The phrase, "it is like Fort Knox," often used to indicate that something is very safe, refers to this place due to its level of security. This storage point contains about 50% of the total gold supply in the United States, which is why it is one of the most protected locations on Earth. The security measures around the fort are not focal points. They are real because they protect something with a triple-figure $1 billion worth of gold. Fort Knox, the bullion depository based in Kentucky, has outer fencing made of steel, while the building is made of reinforced concrete and granite with steel reinforcement. There is a spectacular facility with some of the best security systems all over the site. It is still unknown what kind of systems these are, but there are old rumors that the systems comprise landmines, electric fences, and machine guns activated by laser beams. The facility is often compared to a scene from Mission: Impossible, where one wrong move would mean a terrible event would follow. So strong is the security at Fort Knox that it has been almost impossible for anyone to get close to the gold inside, talk less of taking it away. It is not simple security, it is better to describe it as mega security. These layers of protection, coupled with armed guards, mean that it is virtually impossible even to get anywhere near the depository. The facility is not just one of the most secure in the world, it is one of the most secure spaces on the planet. Number 6. Federal Reserve Bank of New York. We have all watched action films where intelligent robbers accomplish the act of robbing places such as the Federal Reserve and escaping with bags full of money and gold. However, it is quite different when one tries to steal from the New York Federal Reserve, and John McClane will also not have a joyride either. New York Federal Reserve holds the world's largest stock of gold bars, and its reserve was once stocked with over 12,000 tons of gold. It might appear to be a ripe area for thieves and other criminals. Still, the security is virtually unbeatable, and any robber, even the old generation one, will find it immensely guardrail to penetrate. First, the vault is located 80 feet below the street level. Secondly, it is virtually impervious to any natural disaster. In addition, you would have to bypass a 90-ton steel cylinder, which forms an airtight and waterproof barrier. Next, you'd face thick, steel-reinforced concrete walls and ceilings, security cameras, motion sensors, and the ever-vigilant Federal Reserve Police, who never sleep. Even if you manage to bypass all that, one colossal obstacle remains: getting away with the gold. Taking tons of solid gold up 80 feet to the street would be quite the chore. Those bags would have to be hefty. As we learned from the movie Ocean's 11, there is the notion of walking out with your loot. Well, here, one feels like it's an impossibility given the level of security present. Number 5. Svalbard Global Seed Vault. Let's imagine for a moment, what if a cataclysmic event wiped out all life except humans? It poses a rather scary idea, but lets us think of reality more. If all plants and animals were eliminated, what would feed us? Do not worry, the Svalbard Global Seed Vault has our back aces covered. This vault is a backup for the global food supply in the extreme Arctic of the Svalbard archipelago. The Svalbard Global Seed Vault in the Svalbard archipelago, Norway, contains duplicate copies of seeds from all over the world. In other words, they include the future of humanity's crops. These seeds can potentially grow extinct plants in case of a disaster so that at least we'll have crops to cultivate. This storage can contain up to 4.5 million different kinds of seeds, which makes Svalbard the single place with the greatest genetic riches of crops. However, since climate change may be a reality, knowing that such a strong backup is in place is also reassuring. As for the animals, however, that is an entirely different story. Sadly, the Seed Vault does not preserve animal life, which can be a fun fact for those who enjoy existential crisis laughter. If the end of the world happened today, it would be up to humans to figure out how to restore it. At least we have some food supply that can stand that chance of surviving, alright? Do you think the Svalbard Global Seed Vault was mind-blowing? Wait until you hear about Russia's Dead Hand, a high-tech safeguard. Number 4. The Dead Hand Bunker. Fortunately, the Dead Hand Bunker does not contain a pile of limbs on sticks. Well, we hope so anyway. There is hardly any information about the Dead Hand, which may not even be all. And maybe the entire thing, combined with the expectation of a single person waiting for a sign, could be completely obsolete. The Dead Hand system was invented during the Cold War in 1985 when Russia and the United States were bitter enemies. The world was paralyzed with fear of a nuclear attack, and both superpowers had elaborate measures needed to guarantee the capability of a second strike. Russia's Dead Hand is one such safeguard, the most sophisticated computer system invented to determine whether an actual nuclear strike had hit Russian soil. It would also testify to whether or not the military leadership has been neutralized. If the system recognized these conditions were met, then it signaled a code to a bunker where a person would be waiting to launch nuclear missiles at the West. In other words, the Dead Hand system was the last defense to ensure that retaliation could occur even if the Russian leadership were eliminated. Despite the popular assumption that the system never really began to actively launch a nuclear attack, basic knowledge regarding what the Dead Hand bunker was, where it was located, or if it is still functioning today is not fully known. And to this day, there could still be an individual inside that complex watching a screen and preparing to launch should a nuclear war break out. However, nobody can tell where that person may be, sitting somewhere waiting for the signal. Number 3. Surtsey Island. Surtsey Island emerged suddenly on November 14, 1963, following a volcanic eruption in the North Atlantic Ocean, about 20 miles off Iceland's southern coast. Named after the fire giant Surtur from Norse mythology, this volcanic creation of ash and steam quickly became one of the Earth's rarest and most untouched landscapes. Over the years, the eruptions continued, allowing scientists a unique opportunity to observe the island's development and evolution from its birth. Ireland's government swiftly declared Surtsey off-limits to the general public, recognizing its immense scientific value. Only a select group of researchers are permitted access, and even then, they must obtain strict government approval. Once on the island, these researchers are bound by rigorous guidelines to avoid contamination of the environment, particularly by foreign seeds or chemicals, ensuring that the island remains pristine for study. This protection policy extends to drilling expeditions, as seen in a recent effort by geologist Marie Jackson from the University of Utah. Researchers' visits are carefully timed to avoid disrupting the island's wildlife. Jackson's team, for example, conducted their fieldwork after the bird nesting season ended in July and before seals and their pups arrived in September. Scientists focus on collecting data and samples on the island, but all analysis is done off-site to prevent any harm to the island's fragile ecosystem. This careful and restricted access helps preserve Surtsey as a natural laboratory, offering unparalleled insights into volcanic formation and ecosystem development. Number 2. North Brother Island. Nestled between the Boogie Down Bronx and Rikers Island in the East River, North Brother Island tells a captivating yet tragic tale woven into New York's history. The city acquired the island in 1885 to establish Riverside Hospital, designed to treat patients with contagious diseases like typhus, tuberculosis, yellow fever, and smallpox. Among the hospital's most infamous residents was Mary Mallon, better known as Typhoid Mary, and a symptomatic carrier of typhoid fever bacteria. Mallon, seemingly healthy, unknowingly spread the disease as she worked as a cook in various households. After causing multiple outbreaks, she was quarantined at Riverside Hospital in 1907. In 1910, after being released with orders not to cook, she defied these directives, resulting in more infections. In 1915, after infecting 25 people at Sloan Hospital for Women, she was recaptured. She remained isolated on North Brother Island until she died in 1938, always steadfast in her belief that her detention was unjust. The island's dark history continued when the General Slocum steamship caught fire in 1904 near the island. The tragedy claimed over 1,000 lives and remains the deadliest disaster in New York history until the September 11th attacks. A memorial fountain in Tompkins Square Park commemorates the victims of this horrific event. Following World War II, Riverside Hospital was repurposed to house war veterans and later used for heroin addiction treatment. However, in 1963, the hospital closed its doors for good, and the island began deteriorating. Today, North Brother Island is off-limits to the public, serving as a bird sanctuary and home to one of the region's largest colonies of black-crowned night herons. The island's restricted access helps preserve its historical significance and role as an essential habitat for local wildlife, ensuring that the legacy of this haunting place continues in a more natural, untouched form. Number 1. ADX Florence. Nestled in the arid foothills of the Rocky Mountains, just a 2-hour drive from Denver stands the pinnacle of high-security incarceration in the United States, the U.S. Penitentiary Administrative Maximum Facility, or ADX Florence as it popularly is known, in Colorado. This powerful institution, known as the only federal supermax prison, contains the most dangerous and escape-oriented prisoners in the federal correctional system. It has nearly 400 male inmates, and several of its inmates are considered among the most dangerous criminals, such as El Chapo, a drug lord, or Ted Kaczynski, a notorious bomber known as the Unabomber. Unlike other regular penitentiary systems, where inmates are confined with the rest of the wardens for certain hours, days, weeks, months, or years as forms of punishment. For others, such as the supermax prisons, including ADX, the settings reflect a permanent punishment system. ADX prisoners are locked into small cells measuring 7 by 12 feet for 23 hours a day, and it is famously known as Alcatraz of the Rockies. Meals are delivered through a slot in the door, and the only view of the outside world is through a narrow slit in a window that looks out to a vacant sky. The design intentionally limits prisoners' ability to familiarize themselves with the prison layout, ensuring that escape becomes a nearly impossible task. No inmate has ever successfully escaped from ADX Florence. For the limited 10 hours per week when inmates are allowed outside their cells, they remain isolated in individual cages. Even during these brief respites, restraints are severe. Inmates are shackled by their feet and hands, with the added constraint of a belt around the waist or black box restraints for their hands. The facility's structure is mostly above ground, with an underground corridor linking the cell blocks to the lobby. Inside each cell, furnishings are Spartan at best, just a desk, stool, and bed, with amenities primarily made from poured concrete. Security features are rigorous, including a toilet that shuts off if blocked, a time-controlled shower to prevent flooding, and sinks without hazardous taps. Inmate cells also contain polished steel mirrors, electric lights, and entertainment options such as a radio and television that air educational, religious, and recreational programming, including mainstream channels and Netflix content. ADX Florence operates as a fortress of surveillance and control, with a network of motion detectors, cameras, and 1,400 remote-controlled steel doors. The prison's control center remains vigilant 24/7, with officers equipped to activate a panic button that seals all doors instantly in the event of an escape attempt. The facility's perimeter is fortified with pressure pads, 12-foot razor wire fences, and heavily armed officers who patrol the area, emphasizing the impregnable nature of this solitary citadel within the American prison industrial complex. From the Vatican secret archives to the ADX Florence, These heavily guarded locations reveal the lengths taken to protect secrets and treasures. Which of these places captured your interest the most?